What non-Christian sources point toward the reliability of the Gospels?
Any source that says that the Gospels are true and that Jesus did everything they say he did clearly isn't going to be categorized as a non-Christian source, because anyone who believes that is a believer. But there are some sources outside of the New Testament that support the Gospels' claims to be accounts of history. These sources place the Gospels into the first century world. Historians and archaeologists, for example, confirm many details such as that Pontius Pilate was a Roman prefect in Judea. There's also Herod Antipas, the ruler of Galilee, who historians, both ancient and modern, have written about. We can confirm some towns and sites like Nazareth, or the baths where Jesus healed a crippled man at Bethesda, thanks to mainstream archaeology. The first century Roman historian Thallus even confirmed that the sky went dark around the time of the crucifixion. And then you've got the people involved in the early Christian story, Jesus, of course, and the early Christians. By the 2nd century, opponents of the Christian faith were certainly talking about Jesus. The Roman historian Suetonius refers to him and says that the Jews were expelled from Jerusalem, something recorded in the book of Acts, because of Chrestus, an apparent reference to Christus, which is Christ. And there are other minor examples too, but then there are some very significant examples as well. Take the great 2nd century historian Tacitus. His history of the early 1st century refers to the Christian movement, says that it was named after Christ, and states that he was executed under Pontius Pilate, but that the Christian movement had spread from Judea all the way to Rome, where he was. The Talmud later acknowledges Jesus' life and even his miracles, but attributes them to devilish sorcery to explain them. Lastly, there's the 1st century Jewish historian Josephus. In his 2 separate passages here, he confirms that Jesus was called the Christ, that he had a brother named James who was also put to death, and that Jesus was a teacher who won many converts, but who was put to death by Pilate, but that the Christian movement named after him had continued to this day. So yes, we do have non-Christian sources confirming what we would expect them to if the Gospels record the life of an amazing person who did amazing things in a relatively obscure part of the world.